Welcome to the Dr. April Jasper Show, relevant conversations for business owners of today. Welcome everyone to the Dr. April Jasper Show. I am so excited to be in this most interesting space, Dr. Lee.
That's a little interesting.
I love it. But this is a good friend of our family and also just an amazing doctor. He is an ENT surgeon. And John, there's a whole lot of other things you do. I mean, if people could see around us, they see a lot of jets, fighter jets. So where do we begin? Tell us what you're doing now.
Right now,
Yes.
I'm talking to you. That's what I'm doing right now. So my life is like a 3-ring circus.
I love that.
Right. We juggle 3 different things. So my day job is being an ear, nose, and throat doc. We do a lot of ear, nose, and throat surgery. One of my things is hearing preservation. Another thing is dizziness, vertigo, and a lot of surgeries associated with that kind of stuff.
So you see patients every
day to day.
Yeah.
Yep, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Palm Beach County. So if you need an amazing doctor, he's there for you. How about this thing? What is this, Dr. Lee?
This crazy thing. So this is a modified amusement park ride that we built. So there's this disease process called benign positional vertigo, and what it is, it's kind of a crazy thing. It's a very mechanical thing. You've got little particles inside your inner ear. Your inner ear has all these. Actually, I have one of these things.
Us.
How about this, right? So the inner ear has all these little loops, semicircular canals, and they're supposed to be just filled with fluid. And then inside the main portion of it are little particles that are there to detect horizontal and vertical motion. So somehow, through either a virus or head trauma or something like that, the little particles get knocked loose and they wind up in these semicircular canals. And what happens is, if you consider these canals kind of like tires, and you throw pebbles in the tire and then you roll the tire, they go clunk, clunk, clunk. Nothing's supposed to go clunk, clunk, clunk in your ear, but when they do, they make you dizzy. So this wasn't known way back when, but when these little particles go in there and you turn and they fall, they pull on a nerve and make you dizzy. And so the wild thing is, if this were that tire, and this, another way of thinking about it, if this were a coffee mug and this was the handle of the mug and the cup part of the mug is over here, particles in the mug fall out into the handle, and the only way to get them back is to rotate somebody 360 degrees upside down and put them back. And so we're doing this on this. And so there was a famous doctor by the name of John Epley. He invented the first machine, and he built one on his own, and he proved that it worked, and we became good friends. We taught the class together at the academy, and then I built the second one. So we built these contraptions. Now, you don't have to go upside down, but you do have to go 360. And so Dr. Epley's maneuver was the kind where you can break this movement up into being able to do it on a bed. So you can lay a patient down 90 degrees, you flip 180 degrees, and then you sit them back up again, and that's 360. So this goes 360, or you could do it on a table or a bed and do 360s. Pretty cool.
Well, and I don't know if you remember, but I actually had the experience of going through this procedure here in the office, and I don't know.
I apologize.
It's okay. It actually worked. It worked so well, and I'm glad that you had it, and I'm glad that I could just come in and do this. And you say dizzy.
Yeah.
And the word itself isn't very much, but when somebody is dizzy, it is debilitating.
Yeah, so the word dizzy, that's the problem with the word dizziness is it's just so broad, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like, if you say the word car, it could be a Hyundai or it could be a Rolls Royce. It's just such a huge range of things.
Right.
So the word dizzy can be just a minor nothing, or it could be, oh my gosh, I'm a little dizzy because I had too much to drink, or I'm really dizzy because I have horrible vertigo. And you had
horrible vertigo.
Horrible vertigo,
Yeah.
so sorry to say.
Well, I read some of your book that will be coming out soon, and you described having gone through that yourself. So tell us a little bit about your episode with vertigo.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you treat everybody else and you sort of have this idea of what it is, and they look miserable, they throw up, but hey, it's never happened to you. Then you wake up with it and it's like, oh my gosh, now I get it. For me, so mine wasn't that terrible. Mine was bad, but it wasn't terrible. I woke up, lost my hearing, nauseated, wanted to throw up, crawled my way to the bathroom, climbed onto the toilet bowl and did my thing, and it was just, and all that time it's like, oh my gosh, this is what my patients feel. Oh my gosh, and just crawling to the bathroom. Again, mine was relatively mild because like it wore off midday, and I thought it could. And it happened on a day it was beautiful waves out, and I'm a surfer, and so I thought, okay, no big deal. I'm not that bad. I'm over the nausea. I'm going to go surf, and I couldn't stand up. Every wave, beautiful wave, jumped on it, and plop, just kept falling towards my right, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. You fall towards your right if your right inner ear is broken. So I lost the hearing in my right ear. I got dizzy in my right ear, and of course I kept falling to the right.
Well, and you bring up a good point in the book too, which I don't know that most people know. I didn't know that should be treated pretty quickly.
Oh, so that's my public service announcement. If you get sudden hearing loss, you want to be on that really fast. Think of it like CPR. You know, somebody drops at Publix, right? You're not going to like walk past them, finish shopping, come back, and then maybe cart them off. You want to do CPR right away. So the sooner you get to it, the more likely you're going to get your hearing back. Yes, you have a lot more time than a heart attack. In fact, we've brought people's vertigo or hearing back within 3 months or something like that, but and even 6 months. But if you catch it within the first 48 hours, even better. Like just the closer you get to when it first happened, that's when you want to catch it and hit it up with steroids, and if not steroids, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which is what I got.
Incredible. So there's our first public service announcement.
There you go.
There's more to come.
Okay.
So the other thing John Lee, he sort of told you guys is that he also, maybe you didn't, did you tell him what you're doing with the Air Force?
Oh, so 3-ring circus, we started with the medical part.
That's right.
Another ring is the Air Force, yes. So always wanted to serve my country, always wanted to fly fighter jets. I'm a pilot, private pilot, fly little Cessnas and Bonanzas and that kind of thing, but always wanted to get in a real fighter jet. And I kept asking, and they said, look, you have to put on a uniform to get into one of these jets, right? And I'm talking about F-15s, F-16s, and F-18s. And it's like, my whole entire life, I have to trade that for a ride. Where do I sign up? So that's and it's been amazing.
And you were not 20 when that happened.
I was not 20 when that happened. Yeah, I actually got into the Air Force when I was 53.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what do you do with them and for them? I mean, David and I have been there. We've seen you flying. It's absolutely incredible. And just to be on the tarmac and watch the jets, I mean, it's just incredible. An experience of a lifetime just to be there and watch it. So I can't even imagine what it's like for you. But besides flying, what did you say?
Yeah, it's what it's like to be in it. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So besides flying, what else do you do, and what has it brought to your next step and what you're doing now as a doctor too?
So my role as in the Air Force, so I'm in the Air National Guard, which is a reserve branch of the Air Force. Our unit flies F-15s, and we have an alert mission in New Orleans. I traveled to New Orleans to do my drill, and so the alert mission is just to protect us from anything coming in from the south. So they're there 24/7, ready to scramble. My job is, as a fight surgeon, is to keep the pilots flying.
Yeah.
So we're there to. And what's really wild is that you have maybe 30 pilots, 25, 30 pilots, but you have 1,000 people surrounding them with maintenance functions, logistics. There's food, and there's all sorts of services that come around these guys. You have weapons, you have radar, you have avionics,
Wow.
all these different things. So there's like 1,000 people, and then you have to have military police and just a lot of different things. And there's a medical group that supports this. So it's a lot of people. So yeah, we just make sure we make sure that everybody has their requirements to deploy, come back from deployment, all this stuff.
You love it?
I love it. Yeah, it's the camaraderie. I joined to fly an F-15, and I think, I've said this before, if they told me you can never fly another sortie ever again, I would still stay because of the people and the relationships that you've made.
Right,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Super,
Well, we're going to
super.
come back, John, to that in a minute when we
Okay.
talk about something else you're doing. But what is the other ring in your 3-ring circus?
Actually, there are more rings than that.
I have a feeling.
But the third ring, and I don't tell people a lot about it, but so at some point during my simulation, when you can't do, you fake it. And so when I couldn't fly a jet, we built our own little simulators. So that simulator side hobby turned into a career, or at least a whole new company. And so we run a company called Aerotronics, and it builds flight simulators for the military. And it's pretty cool. That it's sophisticated stuff. It's simple in a way, but it's sophisticated in other ways. But we built these controllers for F-16s, F-15s, F-22s, F-35s, rudder pedals, flight controllers, and they go in high fidelity simulators. So much so that they've actually taken some of our grips and put them into real airplanes,
Wow.
which is the wild part. So now we actually build tactical devices that go into real airplanes, and been in some development with new aircraft that have come out, and it's super gratifying to see and actually fly airplanes that have our stuff in it. It's
That's
really
incredible.
Cool. It is really cool.
So John's also a dad and a husband, and has an amazing family. I haven't met your kids yet, but Celeste is incredible.
She is. I'm a lucky dude.
And she has her own hearing story that you can share if you want, or tell us a little bit about how that may have influenced some of another ring that you are a part of these days.
Yeah. So yeah, my wife is also a physician, and we went to medical school together. Not in the same year, but together. And when she was in medical school, she, her family didn't have a ton of money, and so she had to work for a living. And she worked at the EKG station. She had to get money however she could. And one day, starving Celeste ended up signing up for a medical experiment where I think they were doing OSHA experiments and saying, okay, are these sound levels safe or not? And they were testing people for their sound levels. And so she was subjected to 105 decibels for a full hour, which is considered safe by OSHA standards. And so they just put her in a room, turned on the noise, and they were supposed to sit there and endure that for an hour. And she was like crawling out of her skin. Worst $20 she ever made, and because of that, she wears hearing aids today. She doesn't hear very well when you call her, and it's just, one of those things where if I'd only known.
Yeah.
Which really kind of galvanizes me to say, people, if you only knew how
Right.
awful hearing loss can be,
Yeah.
you would do something to protect your ears, and to know what the thresholds are for damage.
Right.
Right. So.
Well, let's talk about that, because one of the things I love about what John's doing today, I don't even know where you get the time, because between working as a doctor and working for our country and with the flight simulator company, and now you've decided that you need to bring more information to all of us to help us to prevent hearing loss and other things. You'll tell us more. I can tell you as I've read your books and I've looked at some of the things that you guys have done, and I have the app, the EarAware app, and I find myself using it everywhere I go.
Oh, do you?
It's really crazy
Oh, that's great.
how often I bring that out, and I'll look and David will be bringing it out if I'm not. But as a parent, so as a patient that has issues with hearing and vertigo, I get it, and I am so glad you're doing this. As a parent, I'll never forget when it became a big deal for our kids. They were all wearing headphones. I'll never forget being so worried about, are they ruining their hearing? I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to figure it out. I didn't know what was right, and it didn't seem like there was any good standard to help me. And then, of course, we go into whether it's a restaurant, go to a concert. I mean, John's a musician as well. So let me pause, tell him a little bit about that. How did that happen?
How did it happen?
Yes.
I mean, how did that happen? So
your mom and dad made you, right?
I'm Asian, right? I'm from Taiwan. Every Taiwanese kid has to you have two choices in life. You either become a doctor or a lawyer, and then you have to play either the violin or the piano. I mean, it's just like programmed in.
Yeah,
so.
April, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
Did
like,
you not know?
Didn't you go through this? Yeah, so I chose the violin, and or it chose me, I don't know. But I grew up.
You love music.
I do.
So now when you hear my story and you hear me tell everybody, my concern is as a parent, I didn't want to be that mom that wouldn't let my kid listen to music. And I knew that it was actually a little easier for me if the headphones were on and I could do my stuff too in the car on a drive.
Right.
But that's not even the biggest problem in the awareness area that you are finding. So why don't I stop? Tell us a little bit about why did ear awareness, why did hearing issues and what you're doing now in that area, why did that become a thing for you? What made you say, I got to do something about this?
So I don't know how much to tell as far as maybe the book goes. The book goes through my personal story of how this happened.
Maybe people won't even read it, meaning they don't have it right now and they're not going to have access to it tomorrow, so you need to talk about it.
Okay, so
if it takes a minute, I don't care, John. People can put it on pause and they can listen to it tomorrow. But I feel like as I read your story and I read through all of this, it's such a big deal to me. And this was a moment where I couldn't wait to get here and talk to you because I feel like it's earth-shattering. There's no one talking about it. So I want you to talk about it.
So it is shocking to me that people don't talk about this and people don't really know. And I guess I'm in that position where I'm an ear doctor. I do care about noise conservation for my pilots. I have kids, and you want to save their hearing. I have a wife who wears hearing aids, so I should know more about this, and I should. Nobody wants to be that guy who is the activist, right? The guy who says, "Stop doing that." It's just like I don't have time for that. But somebody's got to be that guy, and unfortunately, I'm kind of like getting pulled into that world. So how this happened was, I even had my own hearing loss thing. So how did this happen? I'm trying to figure out where to start.
Yeah. So part of it too is you don't want to make anybody feel bad. I get that. So part of the story you have to tell, I can tell, is difficult because you guys are going to hear there's people in it that don't take you seriously. So what do you do with that? And I think you do it exactly what you're doing. You wave the flag, you announce it, you tell people, because there are many of us who were in the same position. As I read what the story you're going to tell, we're all in that same position wondering, are we the crazy people that don't want to stand at the front of the concert because it's so loud, but all our friends want to? The
thing back then, when you're a kid, it's like, if you go to a concert and your ears aren't ringing afterwards, it wasn't a good concert, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're young and dumb and don't know any better. And if other people complain about it, then you're just an old fogey. So for me, all right, so the story is, and I hate to point out church, but we're going to church, and
you go every Sunday.
You go every Sunday, and the music is loud, and for some reason it seems to be getting louder and louder. And we were at a place that was expanding, so they had a satellite venue. We went to that satellite venue, and it's just like so much louder than the main place. Is it because the acoustics are different? Is it small? Whatever. And the thing is, like, we were very engaged with the people. We love the people. We love the sound. We love everything about, this venue, except it was loud. And so you don't want to be the squeaky wheel, so you're just kind of like, okay, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just getting old, and you just kind of live with that. And so we're going along like this, but it's just getting louder and louder. I'm like, I have a decibel meter and I'm measuring it. It's like, creeping up from.
And you should. You're an ear doctor.
Yeah, yeah. And what's really cool is like in the old days, decibel meters were these big clunky things, but now it's on your iPhone, right?
Right.
To the point where we actually built our own decibel meter app called EarAware. EarAware Sound Exposure, that's the app. Download for free.
That's right. You'll love it. You'll be like David and I, always getting it out and using it.
Because information is knowledge, knowledge is power.
That's right.
But anyway, we're tolerating all this, and my daughter, who is now a medical student, was a sound engineer. She actually worked the soundboard at these major concert venues. She worked in New York at the New York Public Library. She runs a little music studio where they record and stuff like that.
Wow.
So she does music, sound, all that stuff. And one day, she's visiting home, and we walk into church, and literally the windows were vibrating, like boom, like you could see the windows vibrating. And we walked through, and it's like, man, it's really loud. And as soon as the doors open, it's just this whole blast of, just like that, right? There's this blast of sound. It's a wall of sound, and we couldn't walk in. So we came back out, and we scrounged for some earplugs. We found some earplugs, plugged them back in, walked in. We both pulled out our decibel meters, and we were measuring 105. And 105 is ridiculous. My wife lost her hearing at 105 for an hour. So and these are all people I know. So I go back to the soundboard, and I've got my meter out, and I'm like, look at this.
Turn it down.
Well, I didn't even say turn it down. I was just like, look at this. And this guy is sitting there, and he looks at me. He looks at me. He looks at the meter. He looks at his meter. His meter is a little lower for some reason. It's not measuring the same thing, but I don't know where his microphones are placed. And he points at that and doesn't say a word to me, and then just goes back and does his thing. And it's just like, I'm just standing there like awkwardly,
shocked. Like,
what am I doing here?
Right.
And so he quietly goes sit down and just kind of grin and bear it. And then after the service, turns out one of my friends who's been over to the house and was running the service, and I go up and like, hey, how you doing? Great. How are the kids? And we're just talking back and forth. And it's like, hey, I just want to say something. Like, service is kind of loud today. And it was like I hit him with a brick. Bam. It's just like his face changed. He looked at me, and it almost basically turned around and said, hey, I got to go. I'm late for something. And just and I was like, what can we do about it? He's like, it's above my pay grade, man. So and just left. And that was it. And it was like, it was so abrupt and so weird.
Yeah.
As if I just stepped on something that I shouldn't be stepping on. So after that, I'm also friends with the main pastor over everything, and I called him up. It's like, this is really weird, but it was really loud today, and they looked at me like I had three heads, and so on and so forth. And he's like, oh no, we'll investigate, we'll figure this out. Come on down to main campus, we'll talk about it. And so he had me talk to one of his underlings, and the day came. I sat with the underlings, with the music director and the campus pastor guy, and we sat and talked about all of this. And they came out, and the first thing they said was, "Just want to say this up front. I want you to know that we're glad you care, but don't expect that we can do anything about this." I was like, it's just turning down the volume,
I'm sure you were in shock.
This is a sacred cow. This is a very sacred cow for...
Surprise.
I was shocked, totally shocked. And so we had this long talk, and they actually did turn it down for about a week or two or three. So it went down, and then it came back up again for some reason I couldn't understand. But it was much more tolerable for a few weeks, and then it went back up again. And so I made an appointment with the main talk guy, and went in to talk to them. But before I went there, I also said, "Am I crazy?
Right.
Who here thinks this?" And so I went to my friends, and I actually made recordings of what they said, and it's like, yeah, it's too loud, but we don't want to cause a fuss. I mean,
Sure.
the main message was, yes, it's too loud, but we don't want to cause a fuss. And 50% of the people that I polled said, yes, it's too loud. 50% said, no, I haven't thought about it. So, and nobody said it was too soft. And then after a couple more weeks, the people who said, didn't notice, came to me. It's like, guess
Now
what?
they're aware.
Now they're aware, right? So it was just planting seeds of awareness. And
Right.
to me, that was like significant because
Yep.
then they kept coming to me and said, you know what? It was like this past weekend,
Right.
And so I have all these people reporting me. And so now I have all this data, and I go to the top guy, and he and his wife, super nice couple, come on in, how are the kids, everything's all, like cordial and wonderful, and we've gone to dinner with them and stuff like that. And his first words were also, John, I know you care, but don't expect, we've turned this down already, and we like it at a certain level. We want it at a level where the one person can't hear the next person singing, because if they sing off key, then they don't want to sing. And there's just a certain science to this. He didn't say science. He said there's a certain thing about this that we just can't distort. So we've done everything that we can. And so I just want you to know, we've done everything that we can, and we're not going to turn it down anymore.
Right.
That was like the opening salvo, and it's basically like, do you have anything else to talk about? It's like, no, we don't have anything else to talk about. We're done. So it was really disappointing. And,
Well, give people a comparison. You talked about 105. We haven't really talked decibels yet.
Yeah.
So let's go there. Let's talk about decibels, and then we're going to come back to, after that moment, what really was your inspiration then to say, look, people, you have to be aware yourself. We have to practice prevention ourselves, but we don't know, as just any of us, and even you said you went back and did more research, how many decibels are too many?
Yeah. Believe it or not, as an ear, nose, and throat doctor, I didn't even, like, if someone had asked me before this, it's like, how many decibels is too much? What would you say? And it gets complex. The science gets really complex because there are different guidelines, and different guidelines are doing different things. So you need to know whose guidelines you're thinking about, or who you're trying to protect.
So OSHA
Right.
is protecting the worker, right?
Yeah, OSHA protects the workers. In fact, OSHA and NIOSH, N-I-O-S-H. So OSHA is Occupational Safety Administration.
Okay.
They are protecting the workers, but at the same time, they're also protecting industry, right? So OSHA needs values, guidelines that won't shut the construction plant down.
Right.
Right? If the construction plant is making too much noise and everybody's complaining, then what do you do? So it has to be like, okay, you can operate at that loudness, but your people have to wear earplugs. So you come to some kind of compromise. And so what's the maximum that you're allowed to make?
Gotcha.
And then on the other hand, we want to know what's the maximum you want your ears to experience.
Right.
And those are two different things, actually. So the wild thing about decibels is that there's this thing called an exchange rate. So the science is that each decibels is a logarithmic scale, and it's hard for people to understand logarithmic scales, but 10 decibels is 10 times louder than 0.
Okay.
20 decibels is 100 times louder than 0. Right? And then 30 decibels is 1,000, so on and so forth.
Wow.
So that's the amount of sound energy with respect to 0. And we arbitrarily pick 0 as our reference range for human hearing. So 0 is what a human can hear. There has to be some energy in there. It's not really 0 energy. It's just, this is our 0 line. And then 10 times that is 10 decibels. 100 times that is 20 decibels. So the math works out so that every roughly 3 decibels is a doubling of sound energy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so imagine if someone said 85 decibels is safe, then 88 decibels is double that energy, 91 is quadruple that energy, right? And then 90.
That's crazy.
90, yeah, so it just goes like that,
Wow.
right? And so it just keeps going up. So OSHA says, so this idea of exchange rate is for every 3 decibels of exposure you have, you should half the amount of time that you're exposed to it.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
Right. So so
you'd have a certain amount of time you could be in that room.
That's right.
Then you better get out if
Right.
there's no way to protect your hearing any better than we did.
Exactly. It's like radiation. If you double the amount of radiation, you should be half the time that you're in there. So think of hearing at decibels as radiation.
Yep.
So let's start with NIOSH.
Okay.
NIOSH is scientifically based on thousands and thousands of studies where they took workers and they measured their hearing. They all had different noise exposure levels. Like a machine shop might be 90 decibels 8 hours a day, or 85, whatever. So they calculated out how people respond to hearing loss based on how many decibels there, and they came up with a program. And they said, at 85 decibels, we don't want you longer than 8 hours. That's the baseline. So now at 85 decibels, if you go to 88, well, guess what? You need half the amount, right?
Wow.
And then so on and so forth. So 91, 1/4 of the amount. So that it's just there's an
Yeah.
exponential effect. So the exchange rate is every 3 decibels, half. OSHA either didn't know any better or decided to make it more lenient, and they said every 5 decibels, right? And that's a lot. 5 decibels is a lot, and so it totally changes the formula. And so they say at 90 decibels, you're allowed 8 hours. At 95, you're allowed 4 hours. At 100 decibels, you're allowed 2 hours, and so on. And that's a lot. That's a lot. But that's how much that industry is allowed to make.
Right.
Then on the flip side, they're not saying that's how much you're allowed to absorb. They say, if it's that high, you have to have earplugs.
Gotcha.
So anything greater than 85 decibels, they say, you should have a hearing conservation program. So they agree 85 is the baseline where you should have hearing conservation, and above 90, then hearing devices earplugs are required, mandatory.
So now go back to the Air Force, and I'm looking at the pictures on the wall. It's got to be a loud place to be in the cockpit of a jet, no?
So what's shocking is between the canopy coming down, the helmet on, and the earplugs that we wear, we can get it down below 85 decibels.
Wow.
It's crazy. So an F-15 fighter jet out the back, when the nozzles are going and the afterburners are on, it's 150 decibels, 140 decibels, really, really high, right? And so that's a lot of zeros behind that energy number. So at 140 decibels, by the time you get into the jet, sit inside, close the canopy, I measure about 100.
Incredible.
About 100. So it's 100 inside, 99, 100 inside the canopy, inside the bubble, inside the cockpit, and you put your helmet on. That could take away, between the earplugs and that, you could get down to 80.
Wow. And they've been doing that since the beginning of time.
Oh, since the beginning of jets, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did that help you at all in your research and figuring out what's actually safe for us as humans, as opposed to safe for the industry, safe for,
So I told you that they did all these studies. So NIOSH says 85 decibels for 8 hours is safe. But when you do the studies for an entire career, they discovered that 8% of those people still needed hearing aids. They got bad enough to have significant hearing damage.
Oh my goodness.
OSHA says 90 decibels for 8 hours a day, okay? And then the scale goes up. Those people had 25%. That's 1 out of 4 people, all right? So at 25%, if you go with OSHA criteria and live by that, 1/4 of the people will
are gonna lose hearing.
damage their hearing, but that's the cost of doing business to have industry running. If you want to protect them even more, get down to OSHA levels, go down to NIOSH levels, then you're at 85 for 8 hours. If you want less than 1% chance, then you have to get down to 78.6. 78.6 is like near zero.
So what does a person do to make sure that whatever their surroundings are that seem loud to them are safe?
Get yourself a decibel meter And we've solved that problem because we actually built one. We wrote an app. The app isn't just about a decibel meter. It's got tinnitus matching in there. It's got, if you have ringing in your ears, it plays the sound of raindrops or something. There's a lot more to it than just a decibel meter, but download I don't care whose, but download a decibel meter so you can know what your surroundings are. And you want to keep it I tell people sub 85, right? If you want zero chance, yes, below 78.6, but that's getting kind of really quiet, and that's accounting for people who are super fragile. 85, if you stay under 85, and don't go 8 hours at 85. Like
right.
If you're listening to music, you're listening to it for an hour. Just keep it under 85, you're relatively safe. In fact, using the 78.6 scale, if you listen to it at 85, you have about an hour and 45 minutes anyway, right?
So musicians.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that category. We have a family that are on stage at church.
Yeah.
We have family that, some that were in a band at one time, and...
Before you go anywhere, we love the church, right? We still go, and none of what I'm saying is to tear down church.
Yep.
It's to tear down loud music anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
Anything that makes more than 85 decibels, watch out.
Right. Well, think about the places where that might happen. It's not just music. It's, I mean, is it possible that somebody could run one of those noisemakers at night and have it even be too loud for them? What is that called? White noise or whatever they...
Oh, yeah. So that's another thing, like little babies, to keep them soothed and quiet, they'll run these noisemakers. Yeah, so you want to keep those under 78.6. Take your decibel meter out and measure it. Two things, like if it's further away, the sound energy dissipates as you get further away from it. So, but at the baby level, less than 70 really, but you don't need anything more than that.
Right.
85 decibels is like a lawnmower.
Oh my gosh. That's what I was trying to think of. Or what other things could we be around that would put us at risk? Video games. I mean, kids are wearing headphones playing video games.
Yeah.
And what do we, so David's asking in the background, how do we know if our headphones that we're wearing to listen, like on the airplane? I'm on the airplane all the time.
Yeah. So I got to give a shout out to, I don't own any Apple stock, but Apple has been amazing in terms of leading the hearing charge. And there are settings in your iPhone that will limit how much your kids get. And you can lock it as a parent.
Ooh.
Right? So you can say 80 decibels is the highest I want you to go, or 85.
Wow.
And you really don't need anything more than 80 decibels anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's plenty loud, especially when you're isolated inside there. So
tell us about that too. So I read in some of the stuff that you've written that how hearing loss happens, and I know we don't want to go through an hour long, I mean, you obviously went to school and spent years in this. But
that's the irony. I went to school, spent years doing this, and didn't learn that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I had to figure this out on my own.
So
because of all of this.
Right. And so that's really what your story is.
Right.
It's all of this. Go ahead.
Yeah, most doctors don't know this. This is not taught in medical schools.
Wow.
Right? The whole concept of hidden hearing loss and how the cells have multiple connections to the brain instead of just one. They have like 15 synapses. And when you start losing those synapses, you don't lose hearing when you lose those synapses, you lose pixels in the picture, so you lose definition. So instead of like a 4K picture, you have like a VCR picture of what's going on.
So when do most people even notice? I mean, you have an audiology test on your app.
Yeah, you don't notice is the problem. You don't notice, and what people do notice is that they can't hear somebody with background noise going on.
You use an example in the movie when it comes out. You guys are gonna. This is the one part I think that was so incredible to me of being in the jungle. I don't remember exactly where it was, and there was a person that was talking to someone else that was. I think you described it as like 30 feet away.
Yeah. So
tell us more about that.
So that's not my story. That's
okay.
That's a guy named Robert Arrington. He runs a YouTube channel called Deer Meat for Dinner, and he has like 3.5 million followers. And he's an amazing guy, super into wildlife and stuff like that. So he goes down to Guyana, or I think it was Guyana, and he's like, in America, we're killing our ears. But these guys live out in the jungle. The loudest thing they hear is a monkey screeching, and that's about it. They don't have boom boxes, they don't have all the stuff like that. And they can hear each other, and they just whisper, and they can hear each other across the lake. And I'm sitting there leaning in, and I can't hear anything.
Incredible.
Yeah. That's because they haven't had all that exposure that we have.
Right.
We're killing our ears.
So as parents, we're putting sunscreen on our kids.
Mm-hmm.
We, as an eye doctor, I'd like to think they're making them wear sunglasses.
There you go.
But what are they doing to protect their ears?
They don't know. That's the thing, they don't know. So that's why the whole EarAware campaign came about, is to teach people how to protect their ears and that it matters.
Right.
Right.
Airboats, airplanes.
Airboats are really, yeah. Pull out your decibel meter, measure it. If it's over 85, think twice.
So what is your hope that from the EarAware campaign and the app that you guys built, what is your goal and what are you hoping to achieve?
Put me out of business, right? We don't want people to have hearing aids. You want your high definition 4K, 8K hearing instead of this degraded VCR type hearing. So.
And you did talk about how when you start to turn up the volume,
Mm-hmm.
you need more volume.
So there's two types of hearing. Well, there are multiple types of hearing loss, but there's the kind that you just crank up the volume and you can hear better. But if your hearing is low definition or blurry, you crank it up and you just get louder blur. So cranking it up doesn't help you. Hearing aids don't help that type of hearing loss. You want more clarity, you need more pixels.
And you use the example of salt, I think, also in describing.
The salt analogy. So,
yes.
Well, people get used to salt, right? You need a certain amount of salt, great, but past a certain amount, it becomes less healthy for you. In America, we start salting our French fries. I mean, we over salt everything, and it just, the more you put on, the more you need, because if it isn't that salty, it tastes bland. Well, loudness is like that. If it isn't loud enough, it feels bland. And I remember this pastor, great guy. He'll walk in a room and it's like, I'm not feeling it. It's like, this is great music. I'm not feeling it. Crank it up. So he needs that salt. There are people who need that decibel level to be way up there for them to really feel it. You have these guys. You have these guys driving those cars with the boom boxes in there, and boom, boom, and you hear them 3 cars over. I used to joke like, we'll be seeing them in my office in 5 years. But now I feel sorry for them.
I know.
I just feel it's sort of like they don't know. If they only knew.
Exactly.
You are over-salting your food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt bad because when the kids were younger, to the point where you said you didn't want to be that guy,
Mm-hmm.
it was tough because we didn't, as parents, have enough evidence. And they would even say, well, Mom, how much is enough? Like, how loud can I have it? Or I will never forget having this conversation in the car with my son because I could hear the music from his headphones, and I turned around and said, you got to turn it down. And to be fair, he said, well, what number is okay? So now we know if they're hooked up to an Apple device, the good news is you can regulate it that way. You can know that way.
Yep.
But otherwise, when you're wearing headphones, you really don't know.
Yeah, if you have normal hearing and you can hear somebody else's music coming through their headphones, they're probably somewhere beyond 85. They're probably at 90, and because that's what it takes to escape.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's too loud.
So do
if
people?
you can hear it, it's too loud.
And I want them to know. So even then, as a mom, they would look at me and I felt like they don't really know what it's going to be like. You tell someone they're going to lose their hearing, but you don't know how big a deal that is until it happens. Is there any, even for people listening to this, how do you help them to understand how significant that's going to be in their life?
So that's going to be another branch of what EarAware is trying to teach, and so we are going to have on the app samples of what it's. By the way, we're not just talking about loss of hearing. Loss of hearing is bad. It's annoying, but it doesn't bother you, and that's the problem. It's like it's one of those things where you feel less of something, sort of like blindness, I guess. You see less of, but how do you
describe?
How do you describe that, right? But wouldn't it be worse if you saw flashing lights all the time?
Yep.
That's something absolutely annoying. And so
or ringing,
well, that's what I was getting at, is that tinnitus is really is the thing that really drives people crazy.
Yeah.
And to know that loss of hearing equals increase in ringing. They're proportionate to each other.
Right.
So loss, the number one cause of tinnitus, and by the way, people say tinnitus or tinnitus, potato, potato. The number one cause is loss of hearing, and people don't equate that. You know, sort of like if you lose the signal on your TV, you
Yeah.
get shh, right?
Right.
So if you lose signal in your ear, you get that ringing sound, and that's what drives people crazy.
Yeah.
And so I think in our EarAware app, we're going to put down like these are samples of what it sounds like to have ringing all day long.
That's good. That would be great.
Yeah.
And I admit, when I have it from what I'm going through, if I can keep busy all day and I'm talking to people, it's annoying, but it's not as doesn't make me as crazy. And that's not a joke. It's real. It really makes you feel like you're losing your mind.
There are literally cases where people commit suicide.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that kind of stuff here, but people are like ready to jump off a cliff and hurt themselves and hurt others. There's a famous ear doctor whose tinnitus patient tracked him down because he couldn't help him and shot him to death.
Yeah.
So this kind of stuff does it literally can drive someone crazy.
Right.
I have in my past brought in the police because somebody said, I have a gun and I'm going to do this to myself because of the if you can't fix my tinnitus, that's what I'm going to do.
No, you need to call for help for them. You're right.
And those people got taken out.
Sure.
I don't think in straitjackets, but something like that. And what's really cool is that our brains are adaptive. And so I tell people who are suffering from tinnitus, the hope is that your brain accommodates to this, sort of like how if you move to New York City from rural, quiet Waxahachie.
Right. You get used to those sounds, really?
Well, you move to New York City and it's like, oh my gosh, how can you sleep here?
Yeah.
And then a year or two later, it's like, what noise? What are you talking about? Right. So tinnitus can be like that.
Right.
And so for the two people that I had the police come in, they came back about a year or two later, and it's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I still have it, but I don't have that edge anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And they can get help. There's people that are trained in just how to help them through that psychological piece. But I just wanted to mention it because I want people to understand.
That's worth talking about.
It's important. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
The other thing too, you brought up, and I think this is one of the things I wanted to make sure I asked you about. Once you've had, so let's say someone's listening to this, you tell them, I mean, they're hearing that that wasn't a joke. They're listening and they know now, they're aware of the fact that they may have hearing loss.
Now they're ear aware.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It worked, they know, but what should they do first? Because isn't it possible, and did you say this or did I dream this, that once you've had hearing loss, it's easier to lose more hearing?
So it is.
So what should they do, and then tell us about that.
So in general, over time, I kid with my patients, there's a thing called TMB, too many birthdays. And when you have TMB, your hearing does slip and slide, and it gets worse. So that's expected, but you're not supposed to go deaf with that, right? And it's typically due to environmental noises and your genetics and stuff like that. So you can expect a little bit of decline. Hearing never gets better by itself. Now, if you've had sudden hearing loss, we talked about that, medical emergency, get on that within 48 hours if you can, get to an ENT doctor, get to an audiologist, get treatment, get steroids, get whatever. And if whoever you've gone to, by the way, doesn't know anything about it, check out our website, EarAware.com, and look up sudden hearing loss, because there's all the things that you're supposed to do, and you can show that to your doctor, and that that gives them steps to prescribe whatever. If we're dealing with the sudden hearing loss, that's what you want to do. If you have hearing loss, what you're trying to figure out is this something serious or is this something not so serious? So another serious thing to know is that if you have lopsided hearing loss, if one side's worse than the other, we're worried about certain different things. You want to get to a doctor on that because that could mean something crazy going on. It could be
tumor.
It could be. I mean, I don't want to make everybody think, oh, I have one-sided hearing. It could be that you shot a shotgun with the right side, or blew up a firecracker in your right ear.
Right,
You know,
sure.
I've lost my hearing in my right ear, and I don't have a tumor. So
Right.
the bottom line is that it needs to be worked up. It needs to be fixed.
Right.
So be aware of that, and then to protect your ear thereafter, because once you're fragile, you're fragile, more fragile as you go on. You want to
Because you're having too many birthdays already.
TMB, right? you want to put in your earplugs.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What earplugs are the best ones?
The best earplugs are the ones you use,
I love that.
right? Because it doesn't do you any good to have them sitting over there. So you can have custom molded earplugs, and if you wear them around yourself, they make them with little neck lanyards and stuff like that. That's great. Use those. I'm the guy who goes to the dollar store and buys 1,000 glasses and I put them all over.
Did he just say that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just realized how terrible that was to say to you.
No, it's fine.
But,
I hear you.
But the point is that I lose them all the time, and so I like the idea that people buy a bunch of foamies.
Yeah.
And their foamies are like 10 cents or whatever, maybe less than $1, and you can have them everywhere. So I have a handful in this car, a handful in another car, a couple in my pockets, and wherever I go, if I need to, I can pull them out. The other thing is the Apple AirPod 2s and 3s. They have noise cancellation effects, so you could put those in lieu of some earplugs. They have
Okay.
active noise cancellation. There's all these other companies that build earplugs with special filters and stuff like that for music and whatnot. And if that's your gig, go for it.
Shooting?
Anything. Oh, shooting earplugs. Yeah. So.
There's specific ones that they use.
Yeah. So shooting earplugs. There's ones that use noise cancellation also, and they shut things down. Super useful because you want to be able to hear people talk and then shut things down. Yes, I'm all for shooting earplugs.
So I think also, I don't know if it's on the app or in one of the areas where I was reading the book, but you show people how to put them in.
Oh, yeah.
I actually never knew that. I'm certain
okay.
I've never put them in correctly.
So what's interesting is your canal is not like a straight Holland tunnel. It is this curvy thing. And it turns out that the best thing to do is to reach around and pull it out like this. Take your foamy earplug, squeeze it down. The problem is some of them spring back too fast, so the best ones spring back slowly. So you grab your foamy, twirl it until it's as thin as possible, go behind your ear, pull it up, and then quickly insert it, hold it in, and you hold it in because if you let go, it'll try to work its way. Yeah. So that's what you want to do.
And if you're stuck in a place where you went to this concert, you forgot your earplugs, what do?
Oh.
Leave? Toilet paper?
I have done both. I have done both. I have literally done both. So, yeah, because we had great seats.
Exactly.
I'm not going to give up, and I get to go back to those seats because somebody paid for those seats. So, yeah, it wound up being toilet paper. And wet toilet paper works better than dry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
Unused.
One more public service announcement.
Yeah.
What about Q-tips?
Oh, yeah, cute. So
his face did what mine did when he talked about dollar store reading glasses.
yeah. So Q-tips, Q-tips are good for our business, but not good for your ears. So Q-tips feel good for some people. They just love that feeling. When you're using a Q-tip, you're literally snow plowing wax into your ear. And so we see the results of Q-tips in the clinic where, we've had Q-tips like stuck in the ear. We've seen wax your wax is always working its way out naturally as a conveyor belt. Your ear treats wax like a conveyor belt and just like pushes it out.
Amazing.
It's really amazing. And it just comes out here and you can just flick it away or whatever. It just comes out. So natural ear wax disposal is perfect. It works really well. But if you push it in past a certain point, it can't get out. So then it's stuck up against your eardrum, and it gets stuck in there, and somebody has to dig it out.
Do they ever come in, these patients, and you go, "Are you using Q-tips?" And they go, "No, never, doc."
I almost don't have to ask because I can tell. I can tell if you have earwax residue on your drum, you put it there. I know that. And then this story usually helps people. We also have people who Q-tip their ear, and your elbow's out here, and somebody bumps the elbow or opens a door.
Oh.
And so we've extracted some that are deep in the eardrum.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Is that more common than a bug in the ear?
No, it's less common, but it's,
Ugh.
I hate when that happens.
Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, you're listening. I think this is a great place to at least brought some giggles in, but now you know why I wanted to talk to Dr. Lee. I mean, I think all that you've been through and all of the, as you called it, your three-ring circus, everything has a purpose and it's changing people's lives for the better every day, John. So I'm extremely grateful for the knowledge.
Well, we sure hope so. Well, yeah, thank you. It is gratifying to do what I do, and I've been blessed to love everything that we do.
Yeah.
And it has purpose.
The app is amazing. So one more time, tell them where they can download it and how to get it.
It's just a free app called EarAware, all one word. So EarAware, all one word, Sound Exposure, and you can get it on the App Store. We're working on an Android version of that, but the problem with the Android version is that Android phones don't have a common microphone that they all use, so some of it can vary, but it can work.
And I think too, the thing that impressed me in the stuff that I've read and seen that you've put together so far, John, is that you talk to, and I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it. If we are, go ahead. If not, then don't. But you talk to some very famous people who have had experience with hearing loss, and they say now they would have done it different. But I think that's got to be something where now, imagine if you would have known this when you started in practice, would it have changed anything about how you practiced even?
Oh, yeah, you always have that 20/20 hindsight. Yeah, I could have done that. I could have done that better.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can talk about those people, but
they'll see them soon.
They might see them soon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you've had, I've enjoyed the moments with you today, but mostly I just want you to know, and my family's here too with us as we record today. John, you and Celeste mean so much to us. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for all you're doing to continue to make our hearing better, but also to change our lives for the better. It means a lot to us.
Wow, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate that.